were baptized, you were asked a question, do you believe in God? And of course, we all said yes. Who created heaven and earth? You believe in God who created heaven and earth? Sure. Do you believe that God loves you? Do you really believe that? St. Paul says that in the second reading. God who has loved me and gave his life, in death. Do you believe that? Because if we believe that, then the next natural question has to be, do I really love this guy? There's a lot of people, and one of the things you run into so commonly today, especially people that don't go to church on Sunday, so I'm glad you're here. They don't think they need that. They say, well, I'm religious. Yeah, I'm a spiritual person. What they're really saying is, I'm God to myself. What they're really saying is, I don't believe in a God who might have expectations of me, because most likely they're actually living in some way that goes contrary to something that God has already said. So that, it's nice, it's comfortable to just say, yeah, I'm a good person. And by that they mean I'm spiritual. It's hard to buy when you know that every relationship has expectation. Every relationship does. That's natural. And so we have to look at our relationships and say, what kind of expectations? In other words, three things come out in our scriptures today. One is that certainly God has expectations, whether we're looking at the Old Testament or Jesus in the New Testament. Certainly, every relationship has a need for forgiveness from time to time. It's going to happen. And every relationship demands that somehow that love is expressed in a physical way. We are body, soul, and spirit. So we look at the scriptures today and we say, does this God of ours have expectations? Well, in the first reading, what is God saying to David? I made you king. This God who created heaven and earth, he said, I did this. I gave you all this. Well, David thought, well, I'm king now. I can do what I want. I'm the top dog. No. I put you there, and my laws still apply to you. And so David failed to show appreciation by living the way that God wanted, going far outside of God's law, both in adultery and in murder. So God was not happy with that. In the gospel, we find Jesus saying, hey, common Jewish courtesy says you greet someone when they come to your house with a kiss. You anoint their head with oil. You offer water for their feet so they can wash their feet before they come into your place. You did none of these. In other words, there are expectations there. And the Pharisee failed in each of those levels. Now, with expectations, what do we find? We find that certainly we might come up short sometimes. So David was forgiven. David was very sorrowful. God loves David, just like he loves us. And so if you ever think you've done something that God can't forgive, look at David. God loves him. And in loving him, he said, I forgive you. Now, one thing that comes from that is, does forgiveness mean that there are no consequences? No. Sin always has consequences. Even when we think it's secret or private. Sin has consequences. David experienced those consequences with the death of his son. God said, yeah, this is going to happen because of what you've done. There will be a price to pay. So we have to realize that in our own lives. There's nothing that goes by without God's own awareness and his desire to make us better people. That's what the consequences are for. When your child disobeys you and there are consequences, you do it not because of vengeance. You do it because you're hoping that they learn something and maybe change their behavior a little bit. So we see that. Sin and consequences. Now when there is sin, and every relationship does have infringements. There's no such thing as two people working together without somebody stepping on somebody's toes once in a while. Even if it's unintentional, we do that. And when we do that, what do? We say, I'm sorry. We say, I'm sorry. When we live a life that somehow thinks that I don't need to say I'm sorry, we're failing to love. Because that means we're really not looking at what we're doing. And if you don't think you've never done anything to hurt the other person, give them a chance to write it down or answer you honestly. I can tell you a few things about it. So we have to hopefully find it and see it in ourselves and say, I am sorry. And then we can move on. But if we're not sorry, we don't really have a loving relationship. Whether it's our spouse or our children, parents hurt their children too. And sometimes they need to say, hey, I'm sorry. I got up on the wrong side of the bed, I'm not feeling good today. Whatever the reason, the excuses, we still have to say, I'm sorry. And with that, then we can grow in the love. Now, in love, there, of course, as we say, has got to be some action to show that I'm in love. So what I challenge you today with is to look at each of those relationships, whether it's your spouse, your children, or your love of God. Look at the loving relationships in your life and say, do I believe I'm loved? Yes, okay. How do I respond to that love? How do I show that I really am in love? Just by doing what I have to do? Yeah, I hope to do that, Joe. But going beyond, was how necessary, how good it is to each day, with each of those relationships, say, oh, what more could I do today to help my spouse, to show my love? What can I do today to show greater love for my children? That doesn't mean running yourself ragged and buying them all kinds of sweets, huh? But what can I really do to show my love for them? Like, this here, it's something Mom made out of her love for me. She went way beyond the call of duty. So there's no question. Mom loved me. I did not respond as well as I should, I'm sure, to that. So we have to look at those relationships. And then our relationship with God. I ask you, think in your mind, in what way has God touched your life in the last 2 weeks? That's something I ask everybody when they go to confession. What way has God touched your life in the last 2 weeks? Are you aware of it at all? In what way has it touched your life in the past week? What about in the last day? St. Francis of Assisi made that a part of the examen for his followers, that every day they look and say, how did God touch my life this day? Because if I'm aware of that, and I should be aware of that, then I become more conscious of maybe how I ought to respond to him. And so at the end of the day, we take time to look and say, how did I fail this day? What can I do different tomorrow? And how can I tomorrow show this God of mine that I am in love with him? Whether it be by anointing someone's feet. I'd feel very uncomfortable if somebody did that to me, wouldn't you? Come cry all over your feet and then wash them with their hair and anoint. I'd be very uncomfortable, but we need to find some way of showing service to others. Because Jesus gives us plenty of ways. Whether we look at the Beatitudes, or whether we look at Matthew's Gospel in terms of taking care of others, he said, what you do to the least of these, you do to me. So God gives us ample opportunities of showing our love for him. Now, if we have the ability, of course, we also need to take personal time, don't we? We need to take time to be with that other person, whether it's our spouse, and they say the average husband and wife spend less than 7 minutes a day conversing, not just about things, but about conversing who we are and what we're about. It's like, what can I make that grow a little bit more? A relationship with God, a minimum of 15 minutes, minimum of 15 minutes to be with God every day. Now, if it's possible to be in church, that'd be great, but at least 15 minutes at home as part of my taking time for God. And if I can make that grow, wonderful. But you and I know that every relationship, every living relationship has to have time to interact. So I encourage you, see how God has loved you. See how you have responded to that love. See what we need to ask mercy and forgiveness for. And then say, how much time? In what way, in a practical way, can I show God that I am in love with him?